in today's video, we're going to be doing a tutorial on making worksheets with PowerPoint. If you've been here long enough, you'll know that my favorite tool is PowerPoint. Why? Well, you can customize things so well. They look professional, and you don't need design skills because I have none. But if you are new or returning, welcome. Here it is, So Primary We Talk, teacher side hustles. It is summer. I'm waiting. It's supposed to rain today. It doesn't look like it's going to rain. It's beautiful outside. I got the fans going. We're doing it. But I've noticed that there are a lot of new TPT sellers here on this channel. Welcome. And I thought I would do a couple basic videos. That's why you're seeing some older videos being resurrected to now. And one of them is PowerPoint. I'm considering doing a Google Slides as well. PowerPoint. Yes, PowerPoint costs money, but the way you can manipulate stuff on PowerPoint, I just don't see it anywhere else. I don't see it on Google. I mean, Google, you can't even use your own fonts. Canva, I like Canva for a lot of things, but to make a worksheet, I'm not there yet. I know some of you are making worksheets on Canva. Terrific, but I'm not there yet. But let me turn the camera around to my screen and we're just going to do a basic tutorial. There's a lot of stuff I could show you. I'm just going to try and keep this clean, but even yesterday it took me all of under half an hour. But I made this little end of the year card for our buddies. It says, "You made this year shine." And when I printed it off, right, I have a two, you can't quite see it probably on the screen, to and from. So it's all clip art and fonts. That's all it is. I would have not known how to make something like this. Like I said, PowerPoint. But we're going to just do a simple worksheet. If you're in our Facebook or on the community posts for this channel, you'll see the worksheet that we're going to be creating and how people gravitate to or away from the cutesy extra stuff. PowerPoint, you can go over the top with PowerPoint, but at the end of the day, a lot of people just want the clean, easy to follow sheets. So I'll make one and I'll show you some interesting features that you can use with PowerPoint. Okay, we are in the main frame of PowerPoint. When you buy PowerPoint nowadays, I don't think you can just buy PowerPoint by itself. I think you need to buy the whole Microsoft suite, I think they call it, or Microsoft bundle. Or then you get Excel, you get Docs, right? You get, I think there's 4 or 5 products you get. I sometimes use Excel. I sometimes use Docs, especially for school, but I definitely use PowerPoint the most. I have shared before, I get the business one, so that terms of use means I can create on here and sell it. It costs, in Canada, I think it cost me 200 and, I don't know, I want to say 240. But just something here that I learned, you'll have a long list of all these they call them presentations. And you're probably thinking, which one am I working on? Which one am I working on? Next time you're in, so for example, we're going to be doing the counting to 5, the one I've highlighted right here. If you noticed, if I scroll over, the star is enabled. Instead of going through the recent folder, I can now just go to favorites and it is sitting right there. And then I just open it up. Down here where it says open, if it's a brand new one, you're just going to go over to the left where it says new, click, and go from there. So let me just open up the counting to 5. Now you'll see that I've already done sheets, but I'm going to start one from scratch just to show you. The other week we talked about how to install fonts. And so I do have some in here. I still have a few more that I want to put in here, but they won't show up in this box until I actually insert a text box or something that will allow a font to go onto the page. One of the things, depending on what I'm making, but I usually start with it, is I'm going to go up to View and I'm going to turn on Gridlines Okay, and you can see the grid lines here and the guides, especially this one. When I made this little card here, this I used with the guides so that I knew exactly where I wanted to fold. In fact, I'm going to add a faint dotted line right here to help teachers or students fold these. I use this to help me keep things centered. Again, I don't have great graphic design skills. I need any little help I can get, and this is one of them. Now, the other thing is, and I've already done it in this page, but I'll show you. When you start a resource, besides putting on the guides and the grid lines, you want to go up to design and change the way the page is. So design gives you all sorts of presentation styles up across the top. I rarely use those ones, but I have in the past. And then I go right over here to slide size. So I'm going to click on there and I'm going to go to page setup. Now the other two, the standard and the widescreen, I use them for boom cards because of the 4:3 or 16:8. Both of them will work fine in boom. This actually standard's a little bit better, but I use those in boom. But I go to page setup. This is something I learned from, what is her name? She has the TPT store, Teacher Game Room, I think it's called. And I kept thinking there's something wrong with, I kept thinking there's something wrong with the numbers in here. So for example, when I go to letter page, letter size, it has 8.5 by 11. But when I look at the centimeters, that's not 8.5 by 11, because 11 inches in centimeters is almost 30 centimeters, not 25. So it's off by like an inch or an inch and a half. So, and one of the things that she said in her workshop is that, yeah, they're off. And I'm like, she goes, you got to manually put them in. So for me, 8.5 by 11 in centimeters is, and first of all, that's width, is too low. It should be closer to about 22 and about 29. And then I hit OK. When you are finished a resource, always print it if you can, and double check that margins and everything else are working just fine. Because I've done this. I actually have to go back and change a couple resources where they didn't print well. And I'm like, shoot, because people buy these and expect them to print off okay. And by the way, if you get a bad review because someone said something doesn't print or whatever, always, always, always refer them to TPT tech support. Okay, so you've got your slide size, you've got your lines on, your grid lines. And again, these grid lines don't stay when you print it. They're just there for you. And now we're going to set up the page. When you are making a resource for selling, habit that you want to get into is making sure that you have a copyright maybe down in the bottom corner. Now you can do a copyright. First of all, let's insert a text box. And on Macs, if you click off it, it looks like it's gone. It is not. Just click right back down there. On the Mac, you want to go to Option G. Will give you that little copyright symbol. And then you've got to put your name or your store name. Now, I used to put years. And then I realized, ooh, that means I need to change. I got to update every so often. I don't want to do that. So now I just go, it's all primary, whoops. And I also put my name, Ella Harold. Now I've seen people's copyrights way too big on the resources. That one to me is a bit on the big side. That is let me go back to my, so this is, oh yeah, this computer, interesting enough, is not set at Calibre, it's set at Aptos. So I'm going to change this. I like to use Miss Kindergarten KG fonts, and then it's still too big. So I drop it down in size to about 10. And then I don't keep it black either. I change the color to gray. You can do yours any way you want. This is just me. Okay, so it's there. That needs to be done on every single page. So one of the things that I do, and I have done, is I take this box and I right click it, and I'm gonna go up to where it says save as picture. I click save as picture, and I'm going to call it copyright. And I'm going to say it's all primary, or I could do my initials or whatever. I have different copyrights. That's why I need them. If you just have this one, then just write copyright, and you're going to save it somewhere where you can find it really, really fast. The desktop is, to me, the easiest place to find it, because I can just drag it over. You can take anything on your desktop and drag it right onto this page. You don't have to copy, paste, or insert, whatever. You don't have to do that if everything is sitting on your desktop, okay? Just drag. It's great. I think you can do that with other programs too, but definitely on PowerPoint. Okay, there is a way not to have to click this every single time you start a new page. First of all, anytime I duplicate, so if I hit duplicate, so right click on the left, duplicate slide, if you notice the copyright is there, okay? But another way of doing it is I can go up to view and click notes master, and anything that I put in here automatically goes onto the page. Is an updated PowerPoint, and it's a little bit different than what I'm using, so I am going to just continue where we are for now, okay? But let's quickly do a title. So I'm going to do a title slightly different than the ones you can see down there. So click the text box, drag it, lengthen it, and I'm going to do KG Miss Kindergarten. I'm going to make it big because it's a title. Let's do 32. How many bears? Okay, when it's a title, it's good to use proper capitalization. I can go up to arrange, align, center it. See, it just was off by a bit. One of the things it will also do is as I drag it around, I'll show you. You can't quite see it because this dotted line is here, but there is a red line. See, and it quickly it just pushes it. It's almost magnetized. It goes to the center. Okay, now for the one I did here, and I'll show this to you again, this is a box. It's a table. So I just go up to insert table, and I'm going to just do a really easy one here. I'm just going to do a 2 by 2 for now. Okay, this is default. So you got to go up to the header row and the banded rows to get rid of it. And then I got to go over to shading because it's shaded, as you see. No, I don't want shading, but I want the border lines. So I want all the borders. And now I've got this. Now I will stretch it out. And for the most part, it will automatically. Now, when you start playing around with them, you suddenly go, wait a second, this box is bigger than this box. So how do you get around that? When you go to, table layout, it will show you right here where height and weight are, whether they're the same length, okay? Column, the row is 10 and the column is, so it's telling me it's not square. Do I want it square? No, I don't necessarily need it square, but I might play with this still a little bit. Remember, you need margins for printing. So again, this is why I've got my grid lines there, just to remind myself. One of the things is if you know you're going to make multiple pages, you can actually set this as a template page and then just constantly use it. So what I do is I make one blank one, and then I right click it, duplicate it, and then I start working off all the duplicates, okay? You can also, in the future, if you think you're going to make more of the same, you can actually save this as a template in your PowerPoint files, and then you can go back and get that. So you don't have to recreate and reinvent the wheel, okay? So we are almost done. Now all we need is content. And that's why I like PowerPoint. It actually is relatively easy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert some images for some bears. Most of the time, TPT buyers want black and white. It is an added feature if you offer it in color as well. But for, I don't know about teachers in the US, but in Canada, printing is ridiculous. And we just need a simple, whoops, hold on, I love all these bears. I have lots of bears. I like bears. One of the things that I did on my desktop is I created a folder, you can see it here, called clip art, and I put plus signs in front of the word so that it goes first into my file folders. Because normally your file folders are organized alphabetized, right? Or the numbers go before alphabet. But if you put a plus sign in front of it, that takes it right to the top. So when I go to my hard drive, it is there. So I have this, like I said, I have it double clipped because I have other things. one plus sign. And then I have everything, and I changed the file names to help me with things. So I have I forgot I had a file folder that has, I got a lot, teddy counters. Okay, and I'm going to look for a black and white one. There he is. PowerPoint is now added alt text. Now, I just realized that this is too long. I want them narrower. So let me just fix this a little bit. I can add another row. Insert another row. And see how I start playing. When I start playing with things like this is when, again, I look at my features. Whoops. You gotta watch the arrows. I did again. That one needs to be a little bit longer. So there's arrows to tell you that it's just gonna lengthen something. When you get the 4, it's gonna move the whole thing. So I need that one. There we go. Now, they're not the same length, so I go back to the table layout. Okay, so this one is 9, this one's 6, and this one's 6. Okay, so these ones are closer. 6, I'll make it 7. Just makes it easier. Okay, so those are 7, and this one is too long. So let's make this 7. Right, there we go, those are better, okay. Then I want to go back to, so highlight the whole thing, go up to my alignment or arrangement, sorry, and go to center. So now it's back there. I could have just actually looked at a line. It's a habit I do. And anyway, so now I've got these bears. Now, let's just start with 2 or 3 bears. So I go Command C to copy it. And then I command 2 of them to just give me a couple extras. One of the things that I can do with this, which I really like on PowerPoint, is I'll drag one of them over here. And then I highlight all 3 of them by dragging outside. See how and I have to make sure that this doesn't get highlighted. These are highlighted now. I'm going to go to Arrange. I'm going to align the top so that they're all at the top. But do you see they're not really horizontally aligned? So I'm going to go back to alignment, and I'm going to distribute horizontally, and there we go. Done. I use this a lot. And I try to make sure that they are aligned middle of the box too. And then I make a little text box, and now I can put in numbers. I have that. I can also do this. I can also make a 1x3 table. You're going to figure out your own little routine for doing things, right? I can do this. Get rid of that header row, the banded row, the shading, and put the borders back. Actually, may not want the borders, but anyways, that's an option. See, there we go, middle. And then I can either type inside each of these. 1, 2, 2, 3. So I'm just hitting the tab. Whoops. There's an undo at the top. Okay, now you may not like the placement of those. This is, again, things I love about PowerPoint. I can first of all change the font. So I'm going to go back to Miss Kindergarten because I'm being consistent, make it much bigger, 40. Yeah, I'll do 40. I'll do 32. I should do 32. Okay, I can middle center it. There we go. And we're good to go. And I don't have to have these lines. If I don't like the lines, I just go back to my table, okay, and go back up to borders and hit no border, and they're gone. Voila. Okay, if I don't like where those bears are, I can again highlight all of them. So I'm dragging from outside the box into the box, and then I'm taking my arrows on my keypad and just bringing them down. Voila. Okay, one of the things that I've talked about briefly before is every time you add something to your document, you are creating a layer. And then what you have to do at the very end is you have to compress all those layers in order to protect the fonts and the clip art. And Flatpak, you can see here, I've got it up here. Flatpak will do that. PowerPoint doesn't flatten it. It makes it one document, but you can still lift things off unless you get one of their pro accounts, and then it will secure it. But you still have to manually secure it. Anyways, one of the things that I like about PowerPoint is the arranger. And again, Canva has this features, and I use it a lot. So sometimes when I'm trying to create something, suddenly I'm looking at the arrangement, and if I need to reorder objects, see this? And I can just play with it. Where do I want everything? Just get out of there. I love this. Anyways, that's basically how you make a worksheet. It's pretty easy. This is a very basic one. I talked about whether you need a frame to go on the outside of it. Some people like it, some people don't. Again, it's a preference. As a primary teacher, it doesn't matter. The kids, I don't even think notice them. So am I going to make it? But I know some teachers like to have slightly fancier worksheets. One thing I used to do in some of my older resources, and I do it on occasion, is sometimes I will stick a little piece of decor right here. Like I could do a bear. Actually, I could do one of these teddy bears. Okay, but these are always preference. A lot of people find that extra clip art, if it doesn't serve a purpose, they don't want it. So, for example, I could put one down here, and what'll end up happening in my class, this is pretty standard, is kids who finish early color the bear. That's why I usually have some sort of little image in the corner. It just buys me some time. But again, that's entirely up to you. You can actually find frames where there's a little bear. Again, I can change them around, 0. I could put one in every single corner, right? There's little things you do. What I tend to do is I tend to overlap him onto the square here a little bit. It's really your preference. If you were in a school and you make something, I have actually taken some of my resources to teachers and say, tell me what you like. Can you look at this and tell me what you like? And I don't tell them to give me their answer now. I said, I'll come back if I give it to them Monday morning or something like that. I said, can I leave this with you for a couple days and come visit you like Thursday or Friday? And you could just tell me whether it's what you like and don't like. I said, and in exchange, I'll give you the finished resource for free. I do that. You may not want to do that. That's entirely up to you. As I was sharing this is one I shared, no frame, okay? There is with just a squiggle, and then most people hated the question mark there, so we'll just get rid of it. Here it is with another frame, let's get rid of the question mark. And here it is with another different frame, right? There are thousands and thousands and thousands of frames you can do. But for most part, people like the nothing. But it's good to, I personally like the A. There's something, I like borders. I don't know what it is. I like borders, and I use it also to kind of put my copyright, just bury it a little bit. So that's just a simple tutorial on PowerPoint. There are lots of things you can do in PowerPoint, okay? We didn't even get near them. Like I said, I'm experimenting with cards. I have done labels, and I've sold those. I make editable things, and that's a whole different video. In fact, there is a video online here somewhere about making editable. If you have questions about PowerPoint, you want to see a specific tutorial about something either I've done here or you would like to see me do, let me know. So wherever you are in the world, I hope you and your family are staying safe, being healthy, and we'll catch you in that video or the playlist. See ya.